What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with 7 reasons to buy the Boost Mobile Celero 5G Plus. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the Boost Mobile Celero 5G Plus, and I'm looking forward to showing you my favorite features about the phone here in this video. Now, the list of things that I do like about the device is actually quite lengthy. However, these are my top favorites. Now, the first feature I want to mention, and this one was actually a major surprise to me when I first got the phone, but that is that with the Boost Mobile Celero 5G Plus, we do indeed have wireless charging. Now, typically, you only find wireless charging with the most highest end phones out there. It's even very rare to find wireless charging with mid-range phones. So the fact that this device, which is a very affordable smartphone, has wireless charging is very impressive. Now, for me personally, I don't find wireless charging to be a gimmick. I use wireless charging at any time that I can if the phone that I'm using does support it. So I have wireless chargers in my kitchen, in my bedroom, also in my office. So it is very convenient to be able to just place the phone on the wireless charger and immediately have it begin charging. Now, another benefit of wireless charging outside of just the convenience aspect of it is that if something were to happen to your charging port, maybe it got damaged or just not charging for some reason, then at least you have an alternative method to recharge the device while you work on getting that fixed. So overall, I don't see any downsides with having wireless charging, and it's a feature that I really appreciate. Now, my second favorite thing about the Celero 5G Plus is that we're actually getting an ultra-wide camera. Now, on the back of the phone, we're getting a triple camera setup with a 50 megapixel main camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera to assist with portrait mode, and then the ultra-wide camera, which is 5 megapixels. So here's how things look on the camera app. And then to get to the ultra-wide camera, all you have to do is go over to 0.5. And you can see that now that we're in that mode, you can fit a lot more into the frame here. Now, just like wireless charging, I don't find the ultra-wide camera to be a gimmick. In fact, with any phone I test that has an ultra-wide camera, I tend to find myself using it quite a bit. And especially if I'm on vacation, the ultra-wide camera is very convenient as I can fit a lot more of my surroundings in one photo. I also like using the ultra-wide camera because it just kind of changes things up from the standard camera. Sometimes I get a little bit bored of this same style that we're getting here, and potentially things can look a lot more interesting with the ultra-wide camera enabled. But overall, I appreciate that we are getting so many different cameras offered here with the Celero 5G Plus, despite it being a lower end phone. Now, moving on, the next feature that I want to highlight here with the phone is its very large battery. So with the Celero 5G Plus, we're getting a very large 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery. And with that, you're going to get at least a day, if not multiple days of usage on a single charge. So that's really convenient. So at least you'll know and have the comfort that when you have a long day ahead of you, the phone won't run out of battery on you. Because, of course, once the phone runs out of battery, it's pretty much useless. Now, thankfully, there is a battery saver mode. You can put the phone in if you do find yourself running low on battery, but considering that we are getting such a large battery with this device, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to end up in that situation. In addition to that, I do appreciate that the phone does support up to 15 watt fast charging, so not only do we have a large battery here with the phone, but you'll be able to quickly recharge it so that you'll be able to get going with your day. Now, the next thing I want to highlight about this phone is the display that we're getting here. Now, there is one downside with the display. I do wish it got a bit brighter than it does, but in pretty much every way beyond that, I'm really impressed with it. And of course, considering that this is a lower end smartphone, you can't ask for every feature, or else there'd be no reason not to spend more money on a more expensive device. But the first thing I really like about the display here on the phone is how large it is. So with this phone, we're getting a 7-inch display, and it's a PLS LCD display, and it also features a 120Hz refresh rate. So with this massive canvas, it's excellent for watching video content as it makes things especially immersive. I also like that we're getting the hole punch with the front-facing camera, so it doesn't really take up too much space overall, especially compared to a large notch. We're also getting 1080p for the display, so everything's very crisp and clear. We're getting a PPI of 384 and a 20.5:9 aspect ratio. So very narrow but tall form factor here with the phone. But that fast refresh rate at 120Hz really is a nice premium touch here on the phone and makes the phone feel and perform like it's a lot more expensive than it actually is. So overall, I think Boost Mobile made some great choices when it comes to the display that we're getting here with the device. Another awesome feature with this phone too is that it does have NFC. So if you're not familiar with NFC, that's the technology that's needed for mobile contactless payments using tap and pay, so that you can use platforms such as Google Pay. So that's a feature that I definitely don't find to be a gimmick, and it is a feature that you commonly don't find with lower end Android phones. So I know that for me personally, I use NFC all the time. It's very nice just to be able to take out my phone and make a payment that way versus having to pull out my wallet. And it is very disappointing and inconvenient when I'm testing out phones that don't have NFC. So I wish every device had it, but unfortunately not every single one does. But it is very refreshing to see that we do have that feature here with the Celero 5G Plus. Now moving on, the next thing I want to go over is the processor that we're getting here with the phone. Now we're getting the Qualcomm Snapdragon 695 5G processor, and hence the name of the processor and the name of the phone, we are actually getting 5G connectivity with this device thanks to the processor that we're getting here. Now at this point in 2023, I do think you can get by without 5G, but on the other hand, if you're going to go through all the time and effort of buying a brand new device, I feel like you may as well get one that does support your carrier's latest and greatest network. So thankfully, you can do that here with the Celero 5G Plus without having to spend too much money. Now the other advantage of this processor is the speed that we're getting with it. Overall, this is a pretty fast phone, especially considering that it is a budget device. So you'll have no problem doing phone calls, text messages, watching video content, going on social media, browsing the web, reading ebooks. All those various things will be great. It's really the more high performance tasks such as video editing, or maybe you're doing some high level gaming here on the phone. I could see some potential slowdowns coming out of that. But overall, this phone does run really well and is very efficient, and I think they made a great choice putting this processor in this phone. Now I did run a benchmark test using Geekbench 6, and here are the scores that I got from that test. I got a single core score of 898 and a multi-core score of 1673. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to see how the Celero 5G Plus compares to your current device. Because who knows, this phone could be significantly faster or significantly slower. So just run the benchmark and see for yourself. Now there really is a long list of things that I appreciate about this phone, but to finish off this list, I've got to mention the final one, and that is that we're getting a headphone jack here with the device. Now, that might seem like a feature that's not very significant. However, at this point in 2023, we're seeing less and less phones, probably the lowest amount ever, that don't have a headphone jack. Now, Apple was the first company to get rid of the headphone jack with the iPhone 7, and then soon after, some of the competitors started to follow. Now, there still are many lower-end Android phones that do have headphone jacks, but even when it comes to that, we're seeing less and less. Samsung's mid-range A series no longer has a headphone jack. That's actually been a thing for several years now. So I'm a little bit concerned that with the lower-end phones, we might see that feature cut out as well at some point. But at least for now, we still do have some solid options like this device. So if you want to use your traditional wired headphones, you can use that with the Celero 5G Plus. And I think another thing about the headphone jack is that it's one of those features that really doesn't take away from the phone at all, and there's really no downside with having it, so we may as well have it. So I'm glad that it is present here with this phone. But this concludes my video on 7 reasons to buy the Boost Mobile Celero 5G Plus. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new today. But this is Kevin. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to sub to the channel and like the video if you liked it, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.